In order for us to solve this equation, we first need to basically unpack or unfoil this left side so that we can then pack the 9 into it. Okay. So first we're going to have to multiply all of this out. Just foil, no big deal. So there's your 2x squared. Outside terms would be a 5x. Inside would be plus 2x, and then the last terms would be a plus 5. Now we need to subtract the 9 from both sides so that we have everything on one side of the equation and zeros on the other. And the reason we know we need to do this is because we have this x squared term. When we have an x squared term, that lets us know that we have a quadratic equation. And in order for us to solve quadratic equations at this stage in the game, we want to factor. So, combine like terms on the left side, we have 2x squared plus 7x minus 4 is equal to 0. Now, factor completely the left side. You always want to look to see if there's a common factor here. There's not one other than the number 1, so that doesn't help us out. It's a trinomial, so we expect this guy to factor as 2 binomial factors. Make sure that you keep the equation here. This is still equal to 0. Breaking down the 2x squared, you know it can only go as 2x and x. You got to think about your signs to multiply get a negative 4. Well, you know one has to be positive and one has to be negative. And in this case, we need to have a negative here and a positive here. Now the 4 can be broken down as 1 and 4 or 2 and 2, and the correct combination here will be a negative 1 and a positive 4. Now don't just assume that because you think you got something to factor you're right. Make sure that you do check this before you go any further in terms of solving this quadratic equation. You see that if you check this, 2x times x is x squared. Negative 1 times positive 4 is negative 4. On the inside you get negative 1x. On the outside is a positive 8x. And that does give me that positive 7x that I was supposed to have in the middle. So that's good. Now, when we finish this problem, you've got to take this guy right here, the 2x minus 1, and set it equal to 0. When you solve this, you know that you have to add 1 and then divide by 2. Now, if you want to go through all the little steps for getting from this to this answer, you can. But at this stage in the game, you should be pretty comfortable about doing a lot of this stuff in your head. Here, the x plus 4 equals 0 means that x is equal to negative 4. So we have our two solutions. X equals 1/2 or x equals negative 4. Now, please pay very close attention here on this problem. We did not set x plus 1 equal to 9. We didn't set 2x plus 5 equal to 9. It won't work out that way. It will not work. Instead, you have to multiply all of this stuff out, get everything to one side so that 0's on the other side, factor, and then set each of these factors equal to 0 and solve.